Wake up, buyer payer people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhodes on the Buy Here Pay Here morning show. Take it away, you two.
Hey, welcome, friends. Just Jim on screen today. Michelle's here with me in studio, but she's having a little flare-up of a health thing that she deals with from time to time, and so she is kind of behind the scenes helping with the board, because she knows which buttons to push at the right time and kind of help make sure all the tech stuff works well. So I'm grateful that she's here, and she's being a trooper to kind of show up and help out with this part. And I'm looking forward to today's conversation. It's going to be an interesting one. It should be a fun thing to talk about. And just a couple of quick updates before we dive into that. We had on Wednesday morning, Michelle was a part of that conversation. We were able to talk about, have our advisory panel for the first time, kind of our initial meeting with the AI advisory panel. And that's really going to be helpful. We've got a good core group of people who are participating in that. And we're going to start to frame out some stuff on AI that will benefit the industry, and especially dealers, and how they utilize AI. So that'll be something that we'll update you as we go, probably meeting on the order of monthly on that. And then we had an interesting V8 Plus session yesterday around LTV that was also fruitful conversation. And it's an interesting thing. I put a poll out on BHPH success, and some people have commented in there about that. We recognize that not everybody tracks LTV. Not everybody pulls in a book value into their DMS and knows exactly what those cars are worth. But when you look at the secondary market value and what the real liquid value is of the portfolio that we own, and our ability to borrow is sometimes limited based on some of those kind of things. And so we're just going to start in 2026 to explore ways to bring in book values on the collateral that we're financing, so that we can measure LTV and ultimately be able to tie that to wins and losses, and be able to tie better our data as dealers to the data that these bulk buyers and lenders are leaning on when they give us a yes or no, or give us a low advance rate or a low purchase price. This is part of why we're looking at LTV. So that's part of what's happened this week. And today we're going to dive into this subject of teamwork, and we're going to tackle it from two different angles. We're going to talk first about a video that I don't recall that we've shared this on the podcast in the past. We certainly bring it into our coaching, and I remember sharing this particular clip that we're going to look at first from Simon Sinek. It's really around leadership, but it ties very much to the teamwork side of what we're going to do. And so I think I'll have to start the audio on that, Michelle, but let's go ahead and get that going.
Plus, I just think this is really interesting. So I've worked with the Navy SEALs, and I asked them, like, how do you pick like the guys that go on SEAL Team 6? Right? Because they're the best, the best, the best, the best. And they drew a graph for me. And on one side, they wrote the word performance, and on the other side, they wrote the word trust. The way they define the terms is performance on the battlefield and performance off the battlefield. So this is your skills. This is, did you make your quarterly earnings, however you want to translate it, right? Performance, it's traditional. This is, how are you off the battlefield? What kind of person are you? The way they put it is, I may trust you with my life, but do I trust you with my money and my wife? Mm-hmm. They're SEALs. This is what they told me. Nobody wants this person, the low performer of low trust, of course. Of course, everybody wants this person, the high performer of high trust, of course. What they learned is that this person, the high performer of low trust, is a toxic leader and a toxic team member. And they would rather have a medium performer of high trust, sometimes even a low performer of high trust, it's a relative scale, over this person. This is the highest performing organization on the planet, and this person is more important than this person. And the problem in business is we have lopsided metrics. We have 1,000,001 metrics to measure someone's performance, and negligible to no metrics to measure someone's trustworthiness. And so what we end up doing is promoting or bonusing toxicity in our businesses, which is bad for the long game because it eventually destroys the whole organization. The irony is, it's unbelievably easy to find these people. Go to any team and say, who's the asshole? And they'll... they will all point to the same person. Equally, if you go to any team and say, who do you trust more than anybody else? Who's always got your back? And when the chips are down, they will be there with you. They will also all point to the same person. It's the best gifted natural leader who's creating an environment for everybody else to succeed. And they may not be your most individual highest performer. But that person, you better keep them on your team.
Okay. That's the end of that one. So, I think that's obviously, super high value in terms of, what it is that, if you look at all that, and Michelle's on the other side of the table laughing about the, who's the jerk, we'll say in the room. It's easy for us to identify that. And we all know that can be a cancer or, some will call it a poison in a team. And I think this is part of what, why we think it's important as we work toward this conversation about teamwork, and we're going to talk next about football. And obviously everything we're talking about here can relate in our personal lives, certainly in our work lives, our work environment. And, I've been talking to dealers this week, and tax refunds are starting to hit, which means dealers are going to feel the pressure and the stresses of higher volume, higher pace of traffic. And this is where the team aspect pays off, right? When we're effective as a team, then we're going to have more success. When the organization depends too much on us individually, then, obviously that translates. So we can explain more about that on the other side of this football clip, but I'm going to ask your patience as I share this. And we're going to pause it a little bit and talk through some pieces of it. So just kind of hang with me as we kind of, and I'm not sharing this because I'm any kind of expert football analyst, but I do think there's a lesson here. So let me set the stage here. So this little short video we're going to play is, I believe, from ESPN. And for those who aren't necessarily football followers, Indiana came out of nowhere. I don't know that they've ever won a national championship. They've won plenty of basketball, but they've never had a championship level football team in the years that I've been familiar. And so this coach, who you will hear me talk a lot about, this coach, Curt Cignetti, this year, we're going to kind of sprinkle in a lot of what, we learned from him. He was a protege. He was a coach under Nick Saban, like so many successful coaches across college football. And so Saban has many championships. This Curt Cignetti has had championships at other places, small colleges. And it's my prediction that this won't be his last championship. He's just got that. He's the real deal. He's got that kind of ability as a coach. And so there are some intangibles here, but what I want to do is break down this one play. So let's look at what it shows is the situation in the game is it's 9 minutes left in the game. So at this stage of the game, you're down to where each team is going to have, that can stretch with timeouts. It looks like Indiana has one timeout. Miami has all three of theirs still remaining. There can be a few possessions still, but you're definitely down to where at a one-score game, Indiana's up one touchdown here. It's 4th and 5. A lot of coaches would take a field goal right here. Okay, so that would put you up 6. It would mean that you would, the other team, you could hold them to a field goal and still have an advantage. So this is where the teamwork starts to come in, especially when you think about, and I didn't really expect a lot of emotion today, but it's like this stuff to me is so significant. It's so real. And it's so important in terms of what we choose to do with our time and kind of how it's the difference between success and failure. We've all watched, for those of us who grew up in the 70s and 80s, remember the old video from the Olympics of the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, right? So there's a fine line sometimes that separates those things. And so the parts that I want to break down here is that as somebody who played a little bit of football, I understand a little bit of X's and O's, and I think I want to take you through some of the pieces of what you're going to see on the screen. But I think that extends not just to the players on the field, because the coach showed a lot of guts in making the decision to go for it. He made the decision to go. So what happens if they don't succeed on this play? He's up still a field goal, but the other team's now got the ball with a full 9 minutes. It's definitely a strategic risk that he's taking in running this play. So let's talk about his decision to do that even before, we go any further. Because why could he do that? Why would he choose to go for it on 4th and 5 late in the game? I'm going to tell you it's because he trusts his team. He trusts these people. He was prepared. He talked about, I heard him say that they anticipated that if they ran this play, that the Miami defense would be in this defensive set. And they were. He was right. He was prepared. They ran to the line of scrimmage. Mendoza, the quarterback here, who also won the Heisman Trophy, and he's a tremendous individual player. But the point you're going to see here, and certainly he gets a lot of the glory for this successful play, but I think the thing to understand here is that without the coach making the decision to run the play, then it's a run pass option. The quarterback talked about this after the game. This play is a run pass option. He elected at the last second. The defense, it was unclear. He was able to announce to his teammates through their audibles or their announcements at the line of scrimmage that he was running a run play. So, 5 yards to get on a 4th down in a run play is tricky. But I want you to watch as we start the screen here. I want you to see kind of how the play unfolds. I'm going to run it all the way through, and then we'll come back and watch it again.
Got to get to the 8. He's going to take off and run. Mendoza weaves his way first and goal, diving toward the end zone. Touchdown!
I'm going to pause it there. I didn't explain that. I'm running that at 75% speed, slowing it down a little bit so we can talk about the different elements, but that's also why the audio is a little bit different than it would have at full speed. But the thing that you saw there is obviously he succeeded in they had a play that succeeded because not only did it end up, picking up the necessary 5 yards, but it went for a touchdown. Tremendous individual play, no doubt. The quarterback is a tremendous player. He showed a lot of fortitude and effort and desire on the play. But I think as you watch it again, first I want to ask you to watch these receivers at the bottom of the screen. I don't know, can you see my cursor there, Michelle, on the screen when I do that? So these receivers here, what they generally do is they're going to run their routes. They, again, know it's a running play, and they're going to run their routes, and all they're really going to do is draw their defenders to the corner of the end zone. Watch how when the play unfolds, how they begin to run their routes, and they know it's a running play again.
Got to get to the 8.
And they have to do their job of selling the defender on the fact that it's a pass play. So you'll notice these defenders come running into the picture in white toward the end. We'll back it up and go again. Because you'll notice these defenders, watch these people in the far right hand in white. They're out of the screen, and then at the end of the play, they come running in to try to make the tackle, but it's too late. They're too far away from the play to stop it. So when we watch it again, you can watch the same thing with our let's watch the linemen. And you can see the same thing with the receivers on the far side of the field. Same thing. They all know it's a running play by this point. By the time the ball is snapped, they know it's a running play. Let's watch those receivers at the top and see what they do. So they run their routes to the outside. The defenders go with them. They have to. They're trained to do that. And now the linemen do their job well. They hold their block. So this is important. The teamwork aspect is like, so let's stop a minute. And so late in the game, these guys have been slugging it out for, this is 50 minutes into the game. They're tired. They're fatigued, which means mental fatigue also starts to kick in. How does that apply in our business? Well, we get tired. It's crunch time. It's busy time of the year. We tend to take shortcuts, and this is the difference between success and failure. It's like we're not prepared for the moment. We're not working together, because I can promise you, if these offensive linemen don't hold their blocks, this play does not probably it probably doesn't result in touchdown. It probably doesn't even get the fourth down conversion. So they're handing the ball over to Miami at the end of this play if these linemen don't hold their block. Let's watch the lineman that's closest to us over here on the screen. It'd be this guy right here. I want you to watch what he does. Because these guys know it's a run play and they know their job, if the defender rushes upfield, they just let him go. They just let him run right by because they know the quarterback is going downfield. So what does he do? He just pushes the guy up, he pushes the guy away, and he's the guy's out of the picture. So again, it's just, as you watch it and you see that stuff happen, I want to ask you to watch one last player. Let's watch this running back. So the running back is right here. And we think about running backs as skill players. They're often the ones who would also get the glory. They score the touchdowns. They have the stats. They get the big checks over the offensive lineman. If you watch this running back, I want you to watch what his job becomes and how he stays with his job. He continues to do his part. And in my way of watching this, all of these players played their role. Yes, the quarterback gets the glory here, but they all fulfilled their role. And that's why the team converted this touchdown. And you could make the case that that's why they hoisted the trophy at the end of this game. So again, it's the difference between success and failure. Let's watch the running back right next to the quarterback. He's going to go downfield, get a block. He's going to stay on his block. And it probably made the difference. Watch this.
Got to get to the 8. He's going to take off.
He's blocking a big dude. The guy's much bigger than he is. Watch this. Right here, he's still blocking the guy. And so he pushes the guy out of the way. Quarterback spins off of that block and pushes into the end zone. So again, tremendous personal effort on the part of the quarterback. But I think if we just look at it through that lens and we isolate, those people who are, are talented people, the skill players, I can just tell you, if those people don't do their jobs, that play does not go that way. And probably that game does not have that outcome potentially. And so I think, and again, the fatigue factor is very real here. It's like, this is something that, I think we got to think about that when the pressure's on, when things are moving fast and we need to make quick decisions and we need to be able to trust the people on the other parts of the team to also do their job. Then, that's what I hear football coaches talk about a lot, is this idea that, if I'm teammates with Michelle needs to count on me to do my job, and I need to count on Michelle to do her job. And so I'm playing in that way. I'm playing for Michelle. I'm playing, she's my teammate next to me in the trenches, and I have to make sure I do my job, and she needs to be able to trust that I'm going to do my job, and vice versa. So this is where, back to the Simon Sinek things, like that's why the SEAL team leans so heavily on trust. It's because, we just need to trust that in those crunch moments that our teammates are going to be there, that they're going to do their job. And now we've got a real team. Now we're not, in business, we're not solopreneurs. We're not limited by, what we can produce as individuals. We're not limited by the skill of our best salesperson, and on and on and on, right down the list. So, you can sell all these cars and you have a tremendously skilled salesperson. But guess what? If we can't service and support those customers on the other side of their purchase, we're struggling. And so that's not championship level business for us. And so this is why, this stuff really hits home for me as somebody who, my football days were just in high school, and I enjoyed the game and I learned a little bit about it as a player who played some offense and defense. I think that's not the point here. It's not about really the X's and O's as much as it is just recognizing that, that plays a real good one to break down in terms of just showing that it's those pivotal moments that really can make a huge difference for us in our business lives. And I think we can all see how that can also extend to our personal lives, whether it's a relationship with a partner, again, personal or professional. It's like being able to rely on those folks around us and know that they're going to show up and be a team member who is going to share with us and pulling on the same rope. So I think this is the challenge, as we all step into 2026. This episode is right at the end of January of 2026, and as we step into this new year, we've all got an opportunity to really focus on these elements and really think about how do we gain in terms of synchronicity, and ultimately, we become more synergistic. All just words. It's just a question of how do we get there? And to me, what you're going to hear us talk about a lot in this context is the real thing is what you heard Simon Sinek talk about. It's about leadership, and it's about trust, and building a team that can trust one another and trust the leadership. And now you've got a chance to really, change the way your business functions. And I think we've got to get more comfortable in our business of thinking about these intangible elements that definitely flow to the bottom line. So I hope you enjoyed the perspective, and hope you could put up with the emotion. It spills out with me. This stuff is real, and it's fun, it's meaningful, and so that's just part of who you get when you tune into the morning shows like that. But thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here next week.